We got racism all over the U.S. We just had a race riot 3 years ago. Oh my God. And then we had all 50 states plus 18 countries.
Let me tell you, it is not an argument in your favor that we're a racist country because blacks decide to start burning down Wendy's and stealing stuff. That's called criminality.
Actually, it is. Yeah, black people were burning it down. Why? Racism. Racism was a big issue, and we can pretend that it's not a big issue, but hey, if you don't want to, then that's just called being obtuse. And that's why I asked you, why did you have such a big problem with talking about racism? So
let me give you some examples of racism that could be proven. How about affirmative action at this college that discriminates against Asian students and white students? How about affirmative action hiring practices in the federal government? We are such a decent, non-racist country. The best example that he has is to show that he was mistreated. And if he acted like this at the DeSantis event, I can see why he was kicked out of the DeSantis event.
A flag outside of somebody's house, I just automatically assume you racist.
Oh, most definitely. But we felt that way for years. Like, I'm 51. And even as a kid, we knew. It was understood. If there was an American flag at their house, they some racist ass white mother. That's just what it was. I thought everybody thought that or knew that. It's funny to see that they're saying it now and it's like it's kind of new, but no. Yeah, been thinking about that, thought that forever.
Well, then leave the country, but they won't, because America is such a great country that even those who say they hate it refuse to leave.
So, Charlie, I don't know if you knew from the everywhere around everything all the time, but this month is in fact Pride Month. Which, what did you tweet the other day?
Pride is a sin.
So we're going to look at some companies and see what they have done to put themselves on the woke map in terms of Pride Month. First one here is Monopoly. This, I feel like, is kind of lazy. I don't think they actually put too much effort in it. They just look.
It doesn't look any different.
Well, they just took some of the properties and like organized them in a rainbow-esque way.
Oh, I mean, this is pretty weak. I mean, if you're trying to actually pay tribute to the holy relic of Pride Month, there's no like reaccommodation. Where's the trans flag in that? That's so like 2009 Pride style. Well, by the way, how many letters are we at?
I think we're at 17 now.
No, I think it is LGBTQIA+, right?
There's a 2 in there somewhere for Two-Spirit.
Is it really?
You know, we all live on the same planet. Borders are made up, man. The planet's dying.
Okay, so great question. Why do borders matter? Because borders are a distinction and a physical delineation of when good ideas start and bad ideas start. For example,
are you saying the United States is the good side and the other side?
Without a doubt, our laws are much more moral than the laws in Mexico, without a shadow of a doubt. We have due process, we have cross-examination of witnesses, we have the rule of law. You know what happens when you illegally immigrate to Mexico? You get deported back to your home country. Why don't we do the same? Secondly, if the walls don't work, why does Mexico have a wall on their southern border with Guatemala? You protect your own country because you care about your citizens, not because you hate the people on the outside.
I think the government has a moral obligation to protect innocent life when confronted with the question of someone intervening to end that life.
I think there's a bit of a difference, and the analogy that I usually use, or the question that I usually ask pro-life people, is, do you believe that the government should mandate organ donation? We say that you shouldn't have to donate your organs, but the pro-life case seems to extend to the idea that even people who are living should have to give up their kidneys to people in hospitals, maybe?
I don't quite see it that way. Well, first of all, again, in 99.67% of the cases, the woman made a choice that could potentially...
And what about those 0.4%? What do you think should happen then?
Oh, I think the baby should be delivered. Doing something wrong after something evil is never the right thing. So, I mean, when it comes to mandating organ donations, I don't even see how that's applicable to the question. Because in 99.6% of the cases, the mother made a choice to be able to get pregnant.
So like there's actually a statistics or a study done that suggests that climate related disasters are 8 times more likely than in 1980s.
Well, hold on a second. You know that we have less people dying because of quote unquote climate related disasters thanks to fossil fuels. We have less people dying because of extreme exposure to cold, hurricanes, because of the advancements we have thanks to fossil fuels. You know, this idea, it's very interesting in modern society. We take for granted the idea of having widespread shelter, heating, or air conditioning in extreme climates thanks to hydrocarbons, we take for granted. That used to be a leading cause of death of human beings up until 1850s.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like rather than my skills.
I want to be judged by my political beliefs,
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up, I want to be offended by my coworkers and walk around the office
on eggshells
and have my words policed
by HR. Words like
grandfather,
peanut gallery,
long time no see.
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety and do workplace sensitivity training all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist. I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
That is exactly how we beat the woke, by mocking them. And just for the record, for the first 15 seconds, I couldn't tell if it was a parody or not. That's how you know it's good stuff.
People don't go out saying, guess what? I'm trans.
Yeah, they do.
They just kind of exist. That's Twitter. That's Twitter. I can guarantee you.
And TikTok and most campuses. People say they're trans all the time. If the change is not part of their identity, then why do they call themselves trans?
Well, I mean, it's just a title. Everybody, like, our society is more, we want titles for just about everything.
I agree. So
Yeah.
I don't accept the title, and I should have a right not to accept it.
Well, everybody has a right to be respected. They haven't done any wrong to you.
No, you don't have a right to be respected. You have a right to speak. You have to earn respect. Abortion was legal in this country for 40 years.
And crime dropped
Thankfully
40% after it went.
Wait, hold on. Do you think abortion lowers crime rates?
Crime dropped 40% after abortion became legal.
Why is that the case?
It's called a statistic.
Who has the most abortions in America?
Woman.
Black people. Is that so? Are you trying to say the termination of blacks in the womb lower crime? That's a very racist argument.
Someone who's young and just started dating, what is your advice in dating and pursuing marriage as a Christian?
I recommend saving yourself for marriage. Okay? And I'm not here to shame you if you've made a different decision or if you disagree, but you're going to live a better life if you do that. And women have a lot more negotiating power than I think you realize in that situation. You might say, well, none of the men will date me. Well, you're dating the wrong men. Okay? Let me be very honest. And I do recommend, though, there's a real thing that you will hear, is that if you put off dating seriously for the intent of marrying, dating is not a vocation, it's not a hobby, it's not to use time. Dating must lead towards something. So you must date with the intent to marry. So you should not even open yourself up into the dating pool, period, if you can't potentially see, at least at the criteria beginning, spending the rest of your life with that person. Soviet example was so great. Why were people fleeing the Soviet Union for Western democracies, and they weren't fleeing Western democracies for the Soviet Union?
Yeah, I don't defend the generation of the Soviet Union. As explained for the London atrocity, they pointed out that the revolution was international, that it was contained within a single nation.
It wasn't contained. You tried it in Afghanistan, you tried it in Ukraine, you tried it in Lithuania, you tried it in Latvia, you tried it in Zimbabwe, you tried it in Cuba, you tried it in Central America, you tried it all throughout what are you talking about? You tried it on the Korean Peninsula, you tried it in Kyrgyzstan, you tried it in Pakistan, you tried it in China, you tried it in Vietnam, you tried it in Laos, you tried it in Cambodia, you tried it in Indochina. What do you mean contained?
You're not educating. This is propaganda. What are you going to do? Like,
This is a professor.
Is that what you're going to do next?
I mean, no, we're talking about abortion.
This is bullshit. This is violent. You're triggering my students.
Super polite,
You're
ferocious,
not. You can't even
cool.
have babies. So you don't even know what that is. You don't even know what this is. Get this out of here, yo. Away from my door. Get the away from my door.
Let's get out of here. You can't do that.
Okay, so this professor should be held accountable for property destruction and then should be obviously fired and terminated. But more importantly, why you're terrorizing pro-life students, I've said it once, I'll say it again. College is a scam. For all your parents out there, when you send your kids to college, you are paying and in times going into debt so maniacs like her can indoctrinate your kids.
Do you believe in the First Amendment and freedom of speech? Just because it's critical to the next question.
Well, it's probably leading the questioner, but you bring it on. Yeah, I believe in the First Amendment.
Okay. The second question is, do you believe CRT should be banned in states? Obviously, banning speech is a very risky thing to do.
I know exactly where your question's coming from. Do you think we should teach eugenics in schools?
No.
Okay, so that would be banning speech, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so bad ideas should be banned and not taught to kids.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.